as we celebrate the Seattle Seahawks as your Super Bowl champions. Congratulations to Mike McDonald, head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, hired a little over 13 months ago as the new era of the Seattle Seahawks shall begin with a man who was a defensive coordinator for Baltimore. But if you go back to like 2013 or something like that, he was our defensive assistant for the Georgia Bulldogs. Life wasn't going the way he wanted it to go at the time. He wasn't getting promotions. He was grinding it out. He wanted to apply to work for KPMG, finance company, sat in the interviews like, hey, sucks. Let me get back to football. Thank God he made that decision. What we're witnessing with him is maybe one of the smartest minds we've ever seen with ball. Now, everybody obviously compliments offensive gurus because it's special. It's the highlights. Hey, this guy's wide ass open. Hey, this offense is able to create this type of leverage in the run game. This guy's a super genius. Let's hire it. This guy, defensive coordinator, head coach, smothering defense, maybe the best in the history. Their run through the playoffs, absolutely dominant. And it's not just a dominance where it's like, hey, we're kind of let you do some stuff, bend but don't break. It's like, no, we are on your ass. And it's normally with just the front four getting home, so the other 7 just get to sit back and kind of watch, and all of them are thumpers. All of them are dogs. Darius J. Butler, 9-year NFL vet, host of Everything DB, Good D, Bad D, here with us. Look at Good D, Butler.
Hey. You too, brother.
What do they have in the corner of the team meeting room that Mike McDonald kind of leads?
Just a stack of helmets of all the enemies' heads that they've taken throughout the season. We saw a little glimpse of it. I'm not sure what clip or what it was behind the scenes, but we saw Mike McDonald in the front of the meeting room. And this is awesome. This is one of the best little props, gimmicks I've seen in a team meeting room. Love everything about this.
Yeah, I think this is Mike McDonald's kind of MO. Hey, we're going to be hard asses. And in a post-game interview, whenever he was celebrating with Boomer, Booger, and Alex Smith, he mentioned about addressing the team and talking about, hey, I need to become a better public speaker for you guys. And instead of judging, his team rallied around him because they knew they had something special. Sam Darnold, seemingly the perfect quarterback for this guy. His revenge tour from going from absolute shite-ass bust in everybody's mind to now a Super Bowl champion, and a man who will be able to say, hey, they got a statue for me in Seattle forever, potentially. Sam Darnold changed his entire career, changed his entire legacy, changed his entire narrative overnight in Santa Clara, California. And Sam Darnold didn't even win the MVP. The run game, Kenneth Walker, who had to share the backfield with Charbonnet, ends up being the most dominant player. He doesn't even score a touchdown. Their kicker hits 5 field goals. First time in Super Bowl history that happens in Jason Myers, and we talked to him this year whenever he beat the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, Phil Rivers, by the way, maybe a little bit more respect than that. Jason Myers goes on to set a Super Bowl record off of his right foot. Not a bad day at the office, I would say. He goes for 33, 39, 41, 41, 26. All no doubters, even with a little bit of a catch by Michael Dixon, the holder, to put that thing up. Pure as day. It felt like Jason Myers was incredible. Michael Dixon, the Australian, first ever Aussie to win a Super Bowl. Congratulations to him. He was unbelievable, just pinning him. He had coffin corner late in the game. Got to get this thing out quick. Let me go ahead and hit a low liner that goes out of bounds inside the 10 with no return. I mean, he was special. All facets of this team were spectacular. And I'll tell you what, it makes for a pretty boring game. It makes for a pretty boring game. Yeah. Drake Maye, the New England Patriots, absolute ass into the fourth quarter where he threw for 235 yards. Before that, none. What did they do on offense? Nothing. How did it look? Terrible. What was it kind of doing? Well, it was giving a lot of opportunity for people to say, cupcake schedule gets this New England Patriots here to the Super Bowl. Bo Nix doesn't get hurt. Are they still here? Buffalo Bills figure out how to not to mess it up, and they win it. Are they going to beat the Seattle Seahawks team? I'd like to say, I don't think anybody was going to be beating that Seattle Seahawks defense. I think what that Seattle Seahawks defense proved, just like what the Philadelphia Eagles defense proved last year, it's like, if you can get home with 4 and they can wreck the game, you can win anything. You can win the Super Bowl. And the Seattle Seahawks primed and poised to go ahead and do this for the next, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10,
20.
Is McDonald going to forget how to call defense? Is he going to get worse at leading and speaking to the team?
I don't think so.
Or is he only going to get better? Is the culture only going to continue to grow? Schneider, this guy, unbelievable general manager, says, Pete Carroll, get out of my face. Pete Carroll came in and said, I want his job. I think this is how we win. We can compete. We got to do this. We can do this. Schneider said, sweet, cool. Can we please get this old man out of here? Okay, you had a hell of a run. We appreciate it. Jody Allen, cool seeing her up there celebrate.
Yeah.
I know nothing about her. She has no anonymous sources. She has no leaks in her. She is lock and key, basically, whenever it comes to ownership. We don't hear nothing. Now, is that because of how far away they are?
Potentially.
Potentially. But it doesn't feel like they're ever working any angle. So watching her celebrate and give credit to everybody in the 12s, it was like a magical night for Seattle. And we might be looking at the next dynasty. We're talking about the Patriots being back to building a dynasty. It's like if this defense is going to continue to do this, which I think they possibly are, the whole league's in trouble for a while. Let's go to the Toxic Table at Boston Connor, at Ty Schmidt. Con man, hey, way ahead of schedule.
That's right.
Go run.
Way ahead of schedule.
Sure.
Looked bad last night.
Yeah.
Did not look great through the playoffs. 23 years old. First-year head coach reestablishing this. How many days into the entire Mike Vrabel era is this, con man?
307.
So what does that mean for you after last night? I assume it was devastating. Patriots fans are used to winning these types of games. Obviously, they thought, hey, we're back. I watched a video from Vrabel and the Patriots team that got me jacked up.
Oh, Freebird.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
I like us. I like us. Boom, boom. Us against the world. It was like, yes, Patriots plus 4.5. Right play. Then that game started, and you heard Chris Collinsworth say it a few times. I think Chris Collinsworth should always have something to say. Been around the game a long time. You are the color commentator. You're the one that's supposed to say stuff. I appreciate the hell out of you in there. I thought Tirico called an incredible game. But he was like, if they kick one more field goal when it was 9-0, if they make this thing 12-zip, this one's about as good as over.
Yeah.
That's how it was literally through the entire first half and even into the third quarter. Fourth quarter, we get some magic that starts happening on the offensive side, but it felt like Seattle's defense was never going to let you guys back in that game. Almost had a backdoor cover, but how did you feel watching it? And afterwards, what is the perspective of the Patriots fans? Still a great year ahead of schedule.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And leading up to the Super Bowl, you're hearing about this defense, and they're comparing it to Legion of Boom, and I basically was thinking, like, okay, let's slow down and have them win a Super Bowl first. They did that. They are, in fact, a historic, unbelievable defense. And Mike McDonald, whatever game plan he had for Josh McDaniels, I don't know if he was changing it every other drive. I don't think he was. He was just fantastic. I mean, he called damn near a perfect game. You mentioned, Patriots fans being used to winning Super Bowls. When the Patriots were down 12-0, I felt worse about that than being down 28-3 to Atlanta. Like, that's how kind of suffocating the Seahawks defense seemed to be the entire night. And honestly, it was one of those situations where you thought that they were going to get a first down and start to go a little bit. But then I think in the third quarter, one of the things Tirico said, because he did carry it, he mentioned, they haven't gotten a first down since.
Well, Tirico is a weapon, but go ahead.
Absolutely love Tirico. Good luck in Italy. But they hadn't gotten a first down since the first quarter. There was no kind of hope on the offensive side for the entire night. And then when A.J. Barner scores to go up 19-0, that's where it was like, okay, I don't know if we have the juice to go down and score 3 touchdowns, but a lot to build on. You mentioned it, 307 days into Vrabel's era, second year for Drake Maye. The sky's falling right now in New England, but personally, I feel great about the squad as a whole, and we'll see where everybody goes and how everything changes.
Ty, now when you talk about lack of star power in this Super Bowl, I don't know if any stars are really made.
Yeah.
Like Sam Darnold, Mike McDonald, I think.
Sure.
McDonald became a star last night. I think Darnold wins, but Kenneth Walker
didn't win MVP. Right?
I think Kenneth Walker. I'm not talking about in the football world. I'm talking about in the universe.
Yeah.
Now the number is going to be gigantic. There's going to be 120
certainly
plus 130. Last year 127. We assume it's going to be up to 130. But it didn't feel like if you were outside, what'd you take away? McDonald's the young hotshot coach potentially. Kenneth Walker, unbelievable.
Yeah.
161 total yards, no touchdowns, still wins the MVP. That's how awesome he was to watch. Offensive line kind of does their thing. And for the Patriots, it's like Drake Maye doesn't have his best performance. Let's go to one half of the hammer. Down. Cowboys AP tone. When it comes to the gambling, when it comes to what happened last night, obviously under hits, which is not good for the public, I would assume, because public loves overs to hit in that entire thing. And then Seattle Seahawks cover with ease. And they were the 71% of the public bet at one point, then down to 60-some percent. They were the odds-on favorite and also the public favorite this entire time. How do you think the sports books did, and how did most people do throughout this season? Did we get our asses beat this year by the sports books, or how do we kind of feel?
I'll start right there because it has been a long season, so we tend to forget things. The public got their asses beat this year. What was it when we were going through the season and we did this every Monday or Tuesday? I think there was like 2 or 3 winning weekends, but the playoffs got better. And then obviously in the Super Bowl, things got better for the public if you were on the Seahawks, which majority was. It started at 75%. By the time we got off the air on Friday, it was down to like 65%. I think it ended somewhere around there. So the public won. On the Seahawks side, obviously, they got the money line. They got the cover there. The under, which was a dead nuts under the whole game, almost went over if Kenneth Walker's touchdown did not get called back there. So they got the under there. Then, obviously, if you took anything on the defensive side for Seattle, whether it be interception or sacks or whatever, touchdown, all of those hit. I went 3-1 first quarter under. Drake Maye over passing yards. A.J. Barner under a half yard. And then I lost Sam Darnold over his passing yards because he didn't really have to throw. Obviously, first touchdown of the game was another one. If you didn't see on the show,
Gabe.
Sports Rage had A.J. Barner first touchdown. That hit again. It was I would say it was a good night for the books because, JSN got hurt. He was out a bunch. Ramondre Stevenson did get the touchdown, but didn't go over his numbers. I would say good night for the books in general.
Yeah, I will say anytime an under hits in a big-time game, that's going to be good for the books.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt like a lock early, but then they almost caught it. Almost caught it.
Yeah.
That fourth quarter, Drake Maye, does that give you hope? Okay, because this is kind of my takeaway. There was a sentiment like, hey, playoffs come, Drake Maye didn't play good. We were on the side of like, it was tough situations. You got the one defense, and then somehow again the number one defense, and then a better number one defense. So like he did hit like a murderer's row of defenses in the playoffs, but I think you're going to like that's kind of what it's going to be. So some people maybe say, big moment, big bright lights. North Carolina never really had to play in those types of games. He can't do it. I don't think that's the case. I would like to argue that I think it is a 23-year-old quarterback who hasn't seen a lot of defenses that he can pull from, and then he's getting tasked with taking on maybe the best defense in the league, maybe the best defense in the league, maybe the best defense ever, whenever it's all said and done, depending upon how their little dynasty, how this potential dynasty goes with McDonald in that defense up in Seattle right now. MOB, dark side, mission over bullshit, dark side. We're hanging helmets in the corner there. I think Drake potentially rattled, definitely, quick, overthrowing a little bit. Not by the moment, but by like a little bit of intimidation potentially by he doesn't know what the hell's going on. Remember, and I don't want to tie us back to Sam Darnold because he just won a Super Bowl, but it's rude. But there was a point in Sam Darnold's career where he said, I'm seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't think he's the only quarterback that's ever thought that. And that can certainly affect you. Him through this playoffs with what he's had to deal with defensively, and then in the Super Bowl with what he's had to deal with the Seahawks, without a lot of good protection, but him also being pretty reckless with it all. What is your kind of thoughts on Drake Maye as a whole as we go into next year? Is he made man at this point in your eyes? Or?
No, definitely not a made man. He had a great second year, almost won the MVP, but he still has, I think, really good pieces around him. And why I had so much confidence in him going into this game was because of Josh McDaniels still been there. And then Mike Vrabel still been a great head coach. So he has good pieces around him. This will be a learning experience for him for sure. We saw a little mic'd up on the sideline in the weather against the Broncos in the AFC Championship where he's like, hey, man, this is hard. Like, and once you get to the playoffs and you play these teams, you're playing the best of the best. You talked about Denver, most sacks. You talk about Houston, historically great. And then you get Seattle. And on the offensive side with the Seattle Seahawks, didn't turn the ball over this whole playoff run. So with that defense, you're almost never going to beat him. But, yeah, with no protection. And then when he did have opportunities to hit some throws that he hit all year, he didn't. He missed some layups, and that's just part of it. He didn't play his best ball. He'll learn from it, I think. I think he'll probably use his legs a little more in these situations, not only just from him, but from the coaching standpoint as well. But this team, this defense, like we talked about Snyder earlier, just studs on every level. And then their head coach, Mike McDonald, he's unbelievable when it comes to dialing it up.
Yeah, and to your point, like the good pieces, you mentioned coaches. Like they need good pieces on, the outside and the inside where it's like, hey, it doesn't matter what they're in. We're just going to throw it here, and they're going to be open. He's going to have a chance. Like, there was never a point. Stephon Diggs was their number one this year. He had his worst game yesterday, and that was shocking, it felt like, to everybody. And I don't know what the plan was going into it, but it felt like at some point they had to either scrap it or go a different way, and they just could never get anything going no matter what.
They couldn't run the ball.
Yeah.
What's that?
They couldn't run the ball.
Yeah, Seahawks are just so good.
Yeah,
Before, right?
Yeah,
I mean, McDonald came out and said, if you can stop the run with split safeties back there, you're in a good spot.
Yep.
What does that mean?
So it basically means, you don't have to put 8 in the box. You hear that term a lot, 8 men in the box, and that basically means you go from a too high safety look and then you go to a single high safety look, which means you bring one of those safeties from the deep part of the field, and now they have to get down there closer to the line of scrimmage to stop the run game. But when you can just stay in that quarters type too high defense, first of all, for the quarterback, it confuses a lot more things coverage-wise, because when you are single high, you're one-on-one on the outside, you know you're one-on-one. But when you have those two safeties, you can just trust your front seven to stop that run. And they did, and you put them in a situation where they have to drop back and pass the ball, it's going to be tough sledding.
That second pick, I think Drake, middle of it, was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was, I didn't expect, there was 4 guys there.
Yes.
You know, and that's
Which
because
one,
the second where he threw it in, not
touchdown?
He had a Matt Collins throw that was a completion.
Right before the touchdown. It was filthy.
Unbelievable. Then the drop in the bucket. But then there was one he threw in a double coverage with the 2 crossers right in the middle of the field.
To end the game, basically, right here.
Right here. I think he was in the middle of that and go, oh, no.
Oh, it's okay, yeah.
Yeah, because they show a close-up of his face whenever he throws it, and I legitimately think he goes, "Oh no," as he's throwing that, because there's so many people back there because there's nobody up.
Yeah.
So like there's more people in coverage, and that's what the Eagles were able to do last year when they dominated the Chiefs, and now the Seahawks just did the same damn thing against the Patriots. I have not lost faith in Drake Maye. I think all these things are him to learn from. Okay, light box means probably there has to be human somewhere. If he's not here, he's probably here. All these things are good for Drake, even though in the moment it had to suck, and he got choked up last night afterwards. And you could see just by the way he was sitting and his build and his face, it's like, this guy's so young, man.
Oh, yeah.
Boy.
His guy is just so damn young out there.
You know, it was a huge difference, and I did not see this coming. Sam Darnold had a lot of pressure, too. Milton Williams was just dominating their right guard. Sam was unbelievable in the pocket of getting out of the pressure and missing and avoiding and then making plays. And Drake was not in that sense last night. He sat there a lot, took sacks where maybe he could have run or whatever. But I think a big difference was that Sam was so good at avoiding those sacks, and Drake was not.
Sam was running one to the right and cut up.
Yeah, he did.
It was like, ooh, Sam Darnold.